We're gonna talk about earthquakes? No, yeah, I thought you want to talk about baseball.
Where are you on the Astros sign stealing scandal and the resulting punishment?
I wasn't going to be answering no Astros questions today.
That's right, Rook. That's right, Rook.
Baseball's where I belong. I don't care what field. I love this team. I want to be here forever. I want to be the Padres forever. But baseball is what I always love.
Since we're in the moment, is there a more annoying sports phrase than get in the hole?
Oh, you're saying for this? Yeah. Oh, I was like, what are you talking about?
Happy Monday, everybody. I'm Marty Caswell. Welcome to Marty Time TV. I guess it's a happy Monday. If you're a Padres fan, man, it's been a difficult Monday. But we're going to get to all of that. We'll hear from Mike Shildt. We'll hear from everyone's favorite punching bag right now, which happens to be Xander Bogaerts. But first and foremost, let me introduce my co-host today. I'm very happy to have Jake. Wait. I've been rehearsing this all day long. Jake Garriani from local CBS8. If you were watching the Padres game on Saturday on regular TV, on cable TV, you probably got a good dosage of Jake talking Padres because it wasn't just about Padres TV. The Padres game on Saturday was on local CBS8. Jake, how are you? Good to see you.
Great to see you too. First of all, nailed the name. Second of all, I'm sure people are very tired of me if they did watch the game on CBS on Saturday, but yeah, rough stretch. It's been here for our San Diego Padres, that's for sure. But it was awesome for us, at least on our end, to have that game on local free television on CBS on Saturday.
Everyone loves that. We'll get to that shortly. But I want to mention that we are brought to you by the all-new Hamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. It was a very eventful weekend at Petco Park, and for all the wrong reasons. I know Friday brought the return of Ha-Sung Kim, who would actually fit in very, very well with the Padres right now because he's on the injured list and he can't play. So he can't help you anyways. But listen, there's a lot of good news and bad news. One thing that we learned from Mike Shildt, the Padres are going to get healthier, right? They're going to get Jason Heyward and Luis Arraez likely back as soon as tomorrow when they play the San Francisco Giants, a conversation we'll get to as well. And then I think Mike Shildt mentioned yesterday in postgame that we see Jackson Merrill, Jay Cronenworth as well, and Brendan Lockwood left San Diego, went to Arizona, and they're on a rehab assignment. Again, like Shildt and Preller said this last week, it'd be shocking if they return for the final 2 games. I think it's a very good chance that they join the Padres on the road. Pittsburgh, New York, and then Colorado. So the trek ahead does not get any easier. But man, if you're a Padres fan, that was an absolute wretched weekend of baseball. And I noticed being there on Friday, the Padres look lifeless. They lifeless. Petco Park was quiet. I mean, there was anytime, Tatis is up, fans get all riled up and excited. Tirso Ornelas, he made his debut, pretty much his home debut. He's from Tijuana, of course, 8 years in the Padres system. But man, it was lifeless. When the Padres fell behind, there was never that feeling that they were going to go ahead and figure it out because they haven't shown that they can in the past week since that final game in Detroit.
Yeah, I was talking with some buddies texting, and the second they fell behind in a couple of those games ago, it feels like we're down by 12, not 1 or 2, right? And that's just given the offensive struggles. And that's honestly what it's all been, is the offense. I mean, you can't blame pitching right now. The pitching's been relatively really strong. The bullpen's been amazing. All it is this offense and how bad it has been. And unfortunately, it felt like a little bit there we were able to hold and tread water, and maybe we were going to get by. And now you're really seeing that the depth of this team is not made for these guys to be everyday starters. A lot of these guys are not everyday starters, and it's showing.
No, it is. And I was actually taking notes yesterday in the press box. I think it was was it the 7th inning? All right. So Connor Joe pinch hits for Tirso Ornelas. Jose Iglesias has a sac bunt. Mason McCoy pinch runs for Connor Joe. I'm like, wow, this is what the Padres season has come down to, is a bunch of these guys. I know a couple weeks ago, when they were finding ways to win games, Mike Shildt calling them the grit squad. But I feel like we've gone from the grit squad to the DFA squad, because when a lot of these, when Jake comes back, when Jackson comes back, when Luis Arraez comes back, a lot of these players, we're not going to see them again. And I think one thing that's shown up for me, man, is the Padres' depth behind their depth. If you're AJ Preller, this is injuries are going to happen. Every single team is going to have these injuries, but I just don't know that the Padres have a strong enough bench to help them through some tough times.
It was the concern going into the season was the depth of this team. It's showing now. I don't think anybody thought we were going to need all this depth at the same time. Like Jose Iglesias has been fine and serviceable, and he would be a great guy to have off the bench a little bit here and there. And, a pinch hit from a Yuli Gurriel, whatever, here and there was okay. Not to rely on these guys every single day. When Elias Diaz is the big bat coming off the bench like he was yesterday to pinch
hitting from Maldonado.
Yeah, you're in big trouble. Like that is the obvious thing. And so I think maybe when he signed a lot of these guys, you go, okay, hopefully one or two of them hit. Hopefully a couple of the other guys, can get you an at-bat here and there and do something. But for the most part, to rely on them day in and day out has been the huge issue through this stretch. And it's been, they went 30 innings without scoring a run, which was only like 7 away from the worst in franchise history. And then they've only scored whatever it is, 3 runs in 40-plus innings. So it's been a really rough stretch, and you kind of get tired of talking about the injuries, but the obvious reason of why we're here at this moment.
Well, it's because it's not even that. I think if the Padres were losing these games, it'd be one thing, but when they 5 scoreless innings, when they can't score, they can't figure out a single way to manufacture a run at home. That's when it becomes concerning. So we'll see. This is what Mike Shildt had to say on Friday, and this is when the Padres got shut out at home 1-0 by Tampa. Hang on one second. Here we go.
We're looking to maximize it all the time and create opportunities that are there. And it was a pretty straight up game tonight. And Sheet's done a good job for us. He's anchoring a big part of the work.
Like, I know injuries are part of this game, but do you guys feel like you're really being tested with your first adversity of the season?
Yeah, I mean, listen, this is a battle-tested team, and the thing is we've had last year we lost a lot of guys coming into the season. We had Bogey go out for 2 months. Darvish and Musgrove were out a good portion of last season. Toddy missed 2.5 months. Listen, we had our trials and tribulations. Manny was coming off a surgery, and took him a while to get back into the flow of things. So, you're going to be compromised throughout the course of the season. That's just part of how this game works. And we've got some guys down. We have more than capable guys with us now. We're still in a pretty good spot, relative to where we're standing in the league. I think if we closed our eyes and said we'd be where we're at, everybody would be probably pretty good about it. We do have some guys down, and we'll just figure it out because winners find solutions, and we got a clubhouse full of them.
So that's the eternal optimist, Mike Shildt, and he is saying the right things. I mean, if you were to tell Padres fans, listen, during a good chunk of your April season, you're going to be out with one of your best hitters on this team, one of your most clutch hitters, in Jackson Merrill. You're not going to have Jake Cronenworth, Jason Heyward. I mean, listen, I don't know. Are we really calling someone that Jason Heyward is someone the Padres are relying on? I'm going to say that Jason Heyward has lasted as long on this roster because of the injuries, because of their depth issues. I don't know that Jason Heyward is a solution. And he says we have a clubhouse full of solutions or something like that. I don't know that you do. I think what the struggles have taught us, we know what the Padres core is, but does anyone think that Yuli Gurriel is going to be someone they can depend upon? Now, Gavin Sheets is something different, right? In that, I don't know, he's not your prototype number 2 hitter. He's not a guy that you expect to go ahead and carry this team. But what we're learning about the Padres, man, is they really need to solidify that bench. I don't know. Jason Heyward's the answer. Yuli Gurriel is not the answer. Mason McCoy is not the answer. Oscar Gonzalez can be a contributing factor. Terce Ornelas is a nice story, but what are we talking about here with these Padres?
Yeah, and the issue is I don't know where they go to solidify that, but it's not in the minors, that's for sure. I mean,
no.
Look, I know.
Well, wait. Luis Campusano. Listen. Luis Campusano. What are we doing here?
You and I talked about it last time. I still think they have absolutely nothing to lose by bringing him up. I understand.
I agree.
The pitching staff doesn't love throwing to him. At this point, there's absolutely no reason he should not replace Martin Maldonado. But that's aside the point of one guy. There's nothing left in the minors as far as you're going to get depth-wise.
Right.
I think Mike Shildt is right in a few areas, in wrong in a few areas. I think fans have reason to be concerned in certain spots, but I also think there is over-concern in certain spots, right? Like, as we've talked about, this will not be the roster for the rest of the season. It is a long season, and they've proven it's a good team when they are healthy. And so, like, I don't have concern for Manny hitting the baseball, and I don't have concern for when this offense, everyone is healthy, being a bad offense. It's a great offense when everyone is healthy. What I do have concern for is the depth that we've talked about a bunch of times. What I do have concern for is Xander Bogaerts. So I think there are things like baseball is such a recency bias thing because it's played so often that you really get caught up in the last 3 or 4 games. Like, had the Padres started 9-9 and then went 8-2 or whatever, really good down the stretch, we would be having a whole different conversation in this moment. So I think there is reason to be concerned about certain things and less concerned about, this offense is going to struggle like this all season. It's not going to struggle like this all season.
No, I would agree. The Padres I think they're determined to go ahead and torture their fans. I'm thinking of the conversation we had last season, like, why can't the Padres get off to a slow start? I mean, a fast start. Yeah. They were on, and we knew that Manny Machado was not fully recovered from his surgery. They were getting guys back. At this point, we didn't know what Jackson Merrill is. It just seems to be a little bit different. But I think the guy, and you brought him up just a second ago, we'll hear from him, Xander Bogaerts. And this is something interesting. Maybe he had his best game yesterday, which is saying something, just because he got on base twice. He had 2 walks yesterday, and he didn't make an error. He strikes me as a guy that his offense goes as his defense goes, right? So when he is struggling on one side of the ball, he struggles on the other side of the ball, and you can see it's wearing on him. We did not get a chance to talk to him yesterday. So all you Padres fans on Threads, Twitter, X, asking, why didn't you guys ask Xander Bogaerts about his struggles? We tried to. We talked to him on Friday, but we did not see him yesterday during the open availability. He will address it. He's a stand-up guy. He works hard. He shoulders a lot of the blame. My sense on Xander Bogaerts is this. Xander Bogaerts can help your team. Xander Bogaerts just can't carry your team. And that's what makes it disappointing, because you expect your highest paid players to carry the teams at times like this. The fact that we're wasting so much time talking about Tirso Ornelas or Oscar Gonzalez or Martin Maldonado, or the fact that we need to call up Luis Campusano for some offense, that's the frustrating part, because Tatis is showing that he is one of the great players in baseball. Manny Machado does have his track record. He's shown last season. He's going to slump at times, but he is going to carry you when it matters the most. And he carried them last season in the postseason. But Xander Bogaerts, man, he has not done that since he came to the Padres. And I think the frustration that you're feeling from fans and the anger as that why they went to DFA him is because they show something. Carry the team, get a house trick the way Gavin Sheets helped win you some games, and he hasn't done that yet. And that is where Padres fans are getting so upset.
Yeah, and the harsh reality of the situation, Marty, is it has everything to do with the contract that Xander Bogaerts is on. Had this guy not be on an 11-year, $280 million deal, and he's on a 4-year, $40 million deal, nobody is this mad at the situation, right? Like, it completely plays into the contract that Xander Bogaerts is signed to. Yes. As you mentioned, you expect him to be one of your best players because he's one of your highest paid players. The struggles are very real with him. And I will say this about him, like you mentioned it, he's a great guy. I have nothing bad to say about the human. I do believe he works hard. I do believe he's doing everything he can. The results are just not there. Now, the idea of DFAing him or trying to get him on, none of that's reality. None of that's reality. He is, I mean, that's a conversation you have in 6-7 years, maybe. But for now,
6-7 years.
I mean, you got him on an 8-year deal, 8 years left on the deal, excuse me, or more. I can't even remember at this point. But the reality is, like, he's here to stay. So you really hope something eventually clicks. Right now, I know Mike has done things to try and move him around. He was up in the 2 spot. He's been in the 4 spot. He's been all over the place. The defensive issues have been a real deal. I mean, he cost probably 2 games there, or at least definitely contributed to the loss of 2 of those games.
They weren't going to score one anyways. Didn't matter.
Yeah.
it just didn't matter. It didn't matter.
You're right about that. You're right about that. It's a bummer, though, because you see it eating away at him. You can almost literally see it eating away at him. And you don't want that for a guy that's as good as he is, but it's been bad. I mean, it really has. There's no sugarcoating it.
No, it's been bad. And I think if you were to give AJ Preller the truth serum, this is probably one of his worst contracts and something he regrets, but there's nothing you can't trade him. I know there were many baseball evaluators that were shocked that the Padres gave him that contract in the first place. They just saw where, what the numbers were saying about what kind of player he was going to be offensively, and he is there, and now it's affecting his defense. So we'll see. This is what Xander Bogaerts had to say on Friday when they were shut out at home by Tampa, and the scoreless streak hit 25.
What is the margin of error right now when we've got so many guys on the injured list?
Yeah, the wrong score on the ball that I throw away, I wish I threw a better throw. Maybe the game would have been different. Who knows? But yeah, hey, run into some good pitching sometimes, and as I said, sometimes umpires, might call this way or call that way. But I can speak for the last two games. There was some good pitching.
You guys went through a lot last year. Mike was referring to that you guys overcame a lot. Can that help you guys pull out of this? What you went through last year?
We know who we are. We know the situation that we're in. We know we have guys down, guys that are key pieces to our team. Opportunity for other guys to step up. That's what I always say. And I think guys have been doing a good job. But sometimes when you run into some good ones like these last two games, they probably have the best start of their career. It's tough for you to be the team that they're doing it against.
And as tough as that is, it's still important to remember, it's April.
Yeah, it's early, but just sometimes the way it's going to go, and sometimes they'll leave a couple pitches in the middle, and then we do some damage. But it wasn't a lot thrown over the heart of the plate these last couple of days, It's not easy for us to go up. Well, we had 2 hits in Detroit the last game. We had, 4 or 5 tonight? It's not easy for you to do that against us, and if you're able to do that, it sucks, but just gotta kind of tip the cap sometimes, This guy was throwing pitches around the corner, and he was on.
You started the season some really good at bats, some really hard hit balls. What's it going to take for you to kind of find that again right now?
Maybe a couple bloops, I should do it. So normally when I make some errors, that means the bat's coming alive. So I don't know, it's weird with me like that, but that's just how I've always been throughout my career. So I'm not saying I wanted to make an error tonight, but probably a sign for good things to come, and sucks that was the only run because of me, and got to come back tomorrow and do better.
Even with the injuries, are you surprised the streak has reached 25 innings, 25 scoreless innings?
Yeah, I am. I didn't know it was like that, I definitely didn't know it was 25. You guys watch the game, man. They ain't throwing up cookies up there for us, and sometimes it's like that, and we're the team on that side that they're doing it against, and just like our pitchers, when they're dominating, that's kind of what they do, and just sucks to be on the offensive side when they're doing that against us.
Okay, so that was Xander Bogaerts from Friday night. I think if we had talked to him yesterday, Saturday, or Sunday, it would have been the same conversation. As a matter of fact, yesterday I was almost going to rerun Shildt's post-game from Friday when he talked about the injuries and not making excuses. Actually, I'll tell you this. I will say this to him about him on Friday. I thought he was a more candid Friday than he's been a long time, because he talked about, we have what we have. He was kind of like, winners find solutions and they're in their clubhouse. But he's also saying we have what we have. Guys, we have Mason McCoy. I've had a pinch hit, and I'm pinch hitting, with four tiers for Nollis with Connor Joe. That's what they're down to right now. So, we'll see. Hopefully tomorrow, good news, Luis Arraez, and he can change things to the top. And we won't see Bogaerts batting second, third, or fourth, back in the 5th or 6th spot where he's a lot more comfortable.
And I thought Mike on Saturday, when we were down there, said something interesting that I really hadn't heard him say, I think, in his entire time as the Padres manager. He mentioned, I felt like for the first time, we uncharacteristically beat ourselves. And he is such hey, I'm always positive. I'm always, I will shoulder all the blame, which I love about Mike, and his players love playing him for him for that reason. But it was one of the first times I'd really ever heard him say, look, we beat ourselves, and we did it through our base running. We did it through our errors. We did it at the plate. And it was kind of refreshing in the worst way, but I was like, it's refreshing to hear him admit it. You know what I mean? Like, just in a sense of okay, good. Now we've got that out there that we beat ourselves a couple of times, or they beat themselves a couple of times, and they can kind of move forward from that. But to your point, Marty, he is working with what he has, and what he has is not a major league roster. I'm sorry. Like, I'm going to be straight up frank about it. It's at best backups on a major league roster trying to get by day in and day out.
Well, the good news for the Padres is they have Nick Pivetta going against Brandon Webb on Tuesday. That's going to be that's an outstanding pitching matchup. It really is. And the Giants are going to be quite the test. All right. Speaking of Mike Shildt, I do want to go ahead. Listen, I know this is a lot of Mike Shildt conversation, but I want you guys to hear from Mike Shildt yesterday taking the blame. I mean, I know what he's trying to do, but I don't know that you can criticize players. They're big boys, right? They know they're not performing. If they were available, they would say we have to be better. It's on us. We're not executing, man. We have a couple of major league players in this team. Tatis showing again that he is one of the great players in the game. Manny Machado was not hitting this series. Gavin Sheets is really struggling in the number 2 hole. Xander Bogaerts was a complete non-factor except for the errors. And then after that, you just got a bunch of dudes, right? But this is what Mike Shildt had to say yesterday following it. Just another depressing
Yeah, we're still taking temperature for all the guys. They're all progressing in a good manner. We'll announce any moves for Tuesday, but Jason Heyward and Luis are all both trending in a very good direction. So we'll evaluate their work today, see how they feel tomorrow, and make decisions on Tuesday. And Locke and Jackson and Croney are going to head out and get some work in Arizona, which is encouraging.
How do you assess the last 4 games compared to where this team was at the start of the season?
Excuse me. Wrong pipe. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot to unpack, right? I mean, so it's not as easy as we made it look, and it's not as hard as it is now, right? I mean, there's somewhere in between. What I say the difference is, look, I got to be better more recently. Players are doing everything possible to be prepared, compete, play the game. They're giving everything they possibly have, and no one's making excuses. Anybody needs to be better. The last couple of games, it's me.
In what way do you think you need to be better?
I don't know. Got to figure it out. That's my ultimate job.
Coach, last night you talked a little bit about how you feel like the team kind of beat themselves last night. And I know it's game to game. Do you feel like that kind of happened today?
No,
or something different?
No, it didn't happen today. Listen, it's a good ball club. They got good pitching. No, I mean, outside the walk we talked about, what's going to happen to an opportune guy? No, not at all. And listen, the sky's not falling. It's like I said, it's never as bad as it appears. It may feel that way. I can tell you in this clubhouse, there's a difference between disappointment and like, oh no, we're disappointed. But I can tell you this with complete confidence, we're just fine. And this is part of a 162 game stretch. Things happen. Things don't go our way. We keep our head up. We move forward, and we'll be ready for Tuesday. I can promise you that.
Okay, so that was Mike Shildt saying that they have their heads up high, that they're going to be okay, and the confidence is good. I thought that was interesting. So tomorrow, when the eternal optimist Mike Shildt has his availability, and hopefully we have a good positive update on Luis Arraez and Jason Heyward. When the media says, "All right, Mike Shildt, you had an off day on Monday. Did you reflect on what you had to do better?" His answer should be yes. I activated Luis Arraez. He's available now, and that's he's going to give us the energy, and he's going to change the complexion of the top of the lineup.
And the thing is, Marty, I don't fully disagree with what he's saying there in a sense of. I saw a comment come in too, we're panicking now. I don't think there's any panic. I think we're talking about the reality of the situation we're in right now, which is that one right there. Yeah, 6 games left.
Okay.
I don't think there's any panic. I think the thing about baseball is we're talking about the reality of the situation we're in right now. Yep. Right now, the team just got swept. They're having a horrible time scoring runs, and they have a bunch of backups playing. That's the reality that's facts. That's the reality of the situation we're in right now. That doesn't mean that we're panicking in a sense of this team is cooked for the next 140 games. And I think that's what Mike is saying is he's going, look, there's disappointment in the locker because the clubhouse because of the way we've played recently. But we're not saying, oh no, to the rest of the season, which I think the Padre fans should feel the same way. Yeah, we're disappointed. The Padre fans are disappointed. They're not playing great baseball right now. Does that mean the season is over this early? Absolutely not. I think that the season will be just fine. And I think Mike Shildt's trying to keep it steady. And he's honestly really done a good job of that through a lot of moments in his short career with the Padres, I think.
I love that the energy factor, you're exactly right, 619 Cam, that the energy factor, Luis Arraez is going to be back, because that guy, if you've interviewed him, you've seen him around, he's an absolute bundle of energy. It's infectious. And having him there, to me, it's going to be a massive difference. Now, this is an interesting comment from Groovy T. It says, Shildt needs to bench Bogaerts, give him a mental reset. Look at David Bednar turn around with the Pirates. That's not a terrible idea with giving Bogaerts a day to go ahead and clear his mind. I feel like he did that last season. And that could be, listen, you have a day game Wednesday, then an off day on Thursday before they fly to Pittsburgh. But who are you playing short? Who's your shortstop? Do you want to go with Mason McCoy? I mean, what are you doing right now? Xander Bogaerts, despite some of his issues, it's still a better option than what the Padres have in their system. Guys, DeVry, he's not ready to go yet. We're not quite there, but no, that's not a terrible idea. As you start getting some pieces back, yes, the idea of giving Xander Bogaerts just a mental rest day, or maybe even a DH day, not a terrible idea. But as you guys have seen with this roster, with what they've had to roll out there, the depth behind the depth has been a problem. So we'll see.
Yeah, and I also saw another couple comments come in about Xander's contract and, hey, when do they just eat it, or when do they package him in a trade? Again, like we talked about a little earlier, none of that's really possible. You know what I mean? You're not eating that contract financially. It's just, it ain't happening. And then as far as packaging him in a trade, who's taking that contract right now? Absolutely nobody in all of baseball. So Padre fans need to hope that he snaps out of whatever it is. And I think, Marty, you know this about Mike. Like, he knows his players really well. I think he had these conversations with Xander probably over and over. Hey, X, you need a day, or do you want to keep, working at it? You want to keep getting after it? You want to keep going? So I trust that Shildt knows his players. I trust that he has had these conversations with Xander, and Xander probably said, let me just keep getting at it. Let me try and get out of it. And I think that's where we're at.
Listen, he finished Sunday on a high. The Padres lost, but on base twice, did not make an error. Groovy T, nothing will wake up Bogaerts more than Mason McCoy. Really, guys, listen, don't panic. It's going to be okay. It's April 28th. Now, if they get swept by the Giants, if they go 0-5 on this homestand, it's time to panic. All right, there's a couple other things I'm going to get to before. Let's see. From 619, any words and Reynolds may be coming back this week as well. Our saving grace has been this bullpen, and I think he is rehabbing right now. So I don't think Reynolds is back anytime soon. But again, the Padres' issues, it hasn't been the bullpen. I know Suarez gave a run. I know that they've given up a couple runs, but the Padres' issue, their strength right now is still the bullpen. You're not always going to be perfect. It doesn't matter if they can't score a run. It really doesn't matter if they lost 4-2 yesterday or 3-2. It's just the problem has been the offense. The pitching is going to be okay. Even though Dylan Cease has not shown shutdown form yet, he is not vintage Dylan Cease there. He's going to get there. They're going to figure it out. So we'll see.
It's the best bullpen in baseball. To your
point,
it's the best bullpen in baseball. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's the last thing we were worried about. Unfortunately, see Hoeing go to the 60-day IL and all that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all about the offense right now.
Yeah, let's leave this on a high note with it from Edgar. Once we get Merrill back and Jake, I think things will be a lot better. So yes, you're absolutely right. The Padres, they are going to get healthier. Like this is like a time. I know when Manny Machado said in the previous homestand when they were undefeated, it's not always going to be like this. We're going to have bumps ahead. That's part of baseball, and they're getting it right now. I just don't know they were expecting it to be this dreary at Petco Park, considering how good they had been at home, how electric it's been at home. The Giants are going to bring some buzz on their own, some fans of their own on Tony Gwynn bobblehead night tomorrow at Petco Park. That's going to be a blast. I love division games. I love it should be a fun vibe. So we'll see. Another one from Edgar, another great point. Historically, Machado has always been bad in April. I'm not worried about him. The numbers are going to be there. I will agree because Manny has shown every single year, man, he's going to have those hot stretches where he's going to be the best player on this team. He did it last year. He's done it every single year with them in postseason. The Xander Bogaerts thing, I think the reason why people are more concerned is because since he signed with the Padres, he's never been that guy. He hasn't resembled what he was with the Red Sox. Again, he has not shown he can be a player that can carry this team through times like this. But right now, before you guys talking about DFAing, he's still a better option than what you have in your system. So just a little bit of patience.
Manny's going to be just fine. I promise you. I could say that with a ton of confidence. Manny will be just fine. He's going to be great this season like he has been his entire career in Major League Baseball. I also think, Marty, that it takes one good game back at Petco Park, and the fans have been unbelievable. They're always going to be unbelievable when you put a winning product out there and a team that's trying. I mean, all of a sudden they go up 5-2 on the Giants in the fourth inning. That place is going to be rocking as it always is. So
this is all it's going to take. No. They just need one lead. How about a first inning lead? How about a lead in the first inning? That will go ahead and get the fans excited. Jake, a lot going on from this weekend, which people can find on Marty Time TV. I caught up with Ha-Seong Kim just talking about how much the fans meant to him and how they embraced him. You know, coming up from South Korea was so difficult for him, right? The language barrier, the food barrier. It took him a while to go ahead and really feel comfortable. But he talked about the memory of fans chanting Ha-Seong Kim every time he stepped to bat. That's a memory. It's going to stay with him forever. I also caught up with Sheel Seidler. I saw her on Friday. Was it Friday? Friday at Petco Park for the second time this season. She was there with all three kids, and it was really, really cool for me to see because her kids were always really close with the players, Manny Machado, Fernando Tatis. You know, they would write Tatis letters before games, and they would put a smile on his face. So it was good to see. We had a conversation. I'm going to play a portion of that to close out the show in a few minutes. We cannot talk about the litigation. So I know people want questions about, you know, what's going on and what's going to happen and what do you think about what was said about you and what's your role going to be and why should you be the owner? We cannot talk about litigation for obvious reasons for either side. My conversation with her was just what it meant to have her and her children be back at Petco Park. And I had wanted to talk before the litigation happened. I had wanted to talk to her about how healing last season was for her, you know, just because it was, you know, Peter Seidler wanted that World Series. And I think there was a time where the Padres thought maybe this was the team and she was there all the time. So we spoke about what it was like for her to be at Petco Park. You guys are going to be there. I'm going to play this for you guys shortly. Jake, anything else from this weekend? I kind of watched the draft a little bit. I paid close attention until the Steelers picked in the first round. When they didn't pick Shadeur Sander, man, I checked out until I found out, wow, fifth round, what happened?
It's one of the top storylines in all of sports right now. I mean, whether you're a football fan or not, you know what happened with Shadeur Sander. It's currently the largest slide in the NFL draft's history. I mean, for a guy that on every single people way smarter than me that do this for a living, that evaluate quarterbacks and players in the NFL, every single person had him at a minimum as a top 3 quarterback in this draft in a quarterback driven league, as we all know. And this guy slid all the way to the 5th round, which was completely insane. There wasn't a person that had their jaw on the floor, that didn't have their jaw on the floor after seeing him slide that far. And I have heard so many takes on why people think that he slid down to the 5th round, down to the Browns. And I honestly I think I'm in the minority here, but I'm a huge fan of Shadeur Sanders. I'm a fan of the family that he's a part of. I think he is awesome. I think he's a very talented kid. I don't get turned off by any quote unquote arrogance that people feel here. I think it was completely ridiculous that NFL teams decided the talent and the baggage that maybe, which I don't believe to be true, but maybe would have come with Shadeur Sanders, that wasn't worth taking him. And the NFL has proven this over and over again with guys like Jamarcus Russell and Johnny Manziel. And the list can go on and on about guys that they said, we don't care. We'll bring in that kind of baggage. It doesn't matter to us. And yet this dude slipped. It was a bunch of owners trying to make a ridiculous statement, in my opinion. And I thought it was graceful the way Shadeur handled it all, including a prank call that was completely unnecessary. That took
from the son of the defensive Falcons, a defensive coordinator. His son did it. That kid should be banned for life from ever appearing in an NFL stadium again. That was horrible. Just I can't imagine being wired that way.
Yeah, Jeff Ulbrich's son, the Falcons, he grabbed it, and yet through it all, even though Shadeur slid all this way and had the prank call and all that, he just did it all with grace. He was enjoying it. You saw him when he got drafted. He was excited as ever.
Awesome.
I thought it said a lot about his character when everyone was saying, oh, his character is the big question. And maybe his interviews didn't go well before the draft, but this was unprecedented. And I found it to be ridiculous.
But by the way, it wasn't just his interviews, just really, really quick. I think what turned teams off is he refused to work out. Like he wouldn't do the things that but just real quick, that's not a reason to fall to the 5th round. But the fact that, and he got bad advice from Dion, which is why his brother also fired Dion as his agent and hired Drew Rosenhaus as his agent. But man, I don't care who you are. You do all those things. You do the Senior Bowl, you do the Shrine Bowl, you do the workouts, you do the pro days. You need a show. And I think it kind of humbled him, but that's no reason to go ahead and drop. What happened to him, by the way, from those teams, from Albright's kid pranking him was just, that was horrible. That was horrible. Yeah. I'm rooting for him now.
I am too. And I think a lot of people don't work out these days, though. So I don't know if it's as crazy. Like, I don't think this had anything to do with football, which is why I think it's okay. I think anyone that has watched him play knows that he has the level to at least compete in the NFL. And I just think it had nothing to do with football. I think people didn't want to deal with certain quote unquote baggage, and this is why it happened. But he's got his opportunity. We'll see what he does with it. Unfortunately, he went to an organization that has proven time and time again they know how to ruin quarterback careers and not flourish quarterback careers. And he's in a very crowded quarterback room. But we'll see what he does with his opportunity. The rest of the draft felt pretty on par. I think it all went well for the most part. But I think that was just the hot topic. Plus, you got your NBA and your NHL playoffs, which have been really fantastic.
Yeah, a lot of drama, especially with the Lakers. Good luck, Lakers, playing LeBron, Luka every single second, no substitution. So we'll see what happens there. Will I see you at Petco Park? Will you be at Petco Park tomorrow or Wednesday?
I will be there. I anchored today and Tuesday. I will be there Wednesday for the hopefully 2-game sweep of the San Francisco Giants, and all is well in Padre land again. Just
listen, score 1 run. Get this crowd back on your side. Give them some energy. In the first inning, let's go. That's what it's going to take, man. Xander Bogaerts. We'll see what happens there. If Mike Shildt benches him for Mason McCoy, we riot. Come on, guys. What are we doing? What are we talking about here?
The place down. It was funny. I ran into Tony Gwynn Jr. before the Saturday game, and we were chatting. And I said, "Are you doing TV today?" Because he was filling in for Mud. And he goes, "Yep." And I said, "All right, get us a win." And then I thought about it for 5 seconds. I said, actually, you know what? Just get us a damn run, man. And he said, yeah, I'm kind of over right now. And he didn't work out too well for T, but it's not his fault.
All right, before we wrap, I am going to go ahead and play this interview with Sheel Seidler. You're more than welcome to stay. I realize if you have to go as well. But Jake, you're going to Fenway Park this Friday, right? So are you going to Fenway?
Yeah.
All right. I'm putting you to work. And I don't know if you know this, but I'm excited to have you join me again, hopefully soon. When you are in Boston, okay, and when you go to the Cask and Flagon, which is a great bar outside of Fenway Park, you should get out your phone and start recording. Ask people about Xander Bogaerts, how popular he was, and how much of the contract they're willing to go ahead and eat. What would it take to send Xander Bogaerts back to the Boston Red Sox? That's right. Since people want him traded, and he was he is very popular there. When the Padres were in Boston last season, man, I mean, fans were all over him. The media loved him. He was adored. He flourished. Sometimes guys do need a change of scenery. Sometimes they don't. Maybe it's what Xander needs. But when you're there, ask them, would you want Xander Bogaerts back? And how much of the Padres contract should they have to eat?
I will ask them.
That's your assignment. Mm-hmm.
I will ask them. I'll do that for you. We'll get a couple margaritas going.
Let's do it.
That's the way to do
margaritas.
Ask them over some margaritas. Yeah, you're probably right. I have a feeling the fans would make that move in no time, even though the reality of the situation is no chance. But I'll check for you. No problem. I'm excited. First time at Fenway.
Awesome. You're going to have such a good time. You're going to have a great time. Okay, again, we are brought to you by the all-new Hamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. I've been speaking with Jake Garriani of the local CBS Sports. A reminder, Padres fans, a lot of their Saturday games are now on free TV on regular local CBS Channel 8. And you mentioned that you're going to have an extended normal pre- and post-game show during these times. That's fantastic. Good.
Yeah, we have kind of a pre-game show. It's just extended Padres, which all the fans, I'm sure, can't get enough of. But it's just a 30-minute pregame show before the Padres' normal pregame show. And then typically, depending on the timing of the game, a post-game show after their post-game show with more content. The next one coming up on CBS 8 is on the 10th. And I'm going to be flying to Colorado for coverage of that one. So we'll be out in Colorado. that should be. Hey, I grew up there. Easy.
No, it's beautiful. I just meant it's going to be like one of those 12 to 11 games. By the way, the Rockies have won 4 games this season.
4 games.
So that's again
they're terrible. So let's hope, because we're 0 for 1 on CBS 8. Let's hope playing the Rockies, we're going to get 1-1 on CBS 8, and we'll be all right. If we don't beat the Rockies,
it's over.
We may be in trouble.
Over. We riot.
We riot.
Jake, you're the best. Thank you for joining me. And for all you fans, thank you so much for all your fans and listeners. Thank you for your kind comments. I'm going to go ahead. I caught up with Sheel Seidler. I saw her on Friday, and we were able to have a conversation on just what it meant to be back at Petco Park with her 3 kids. She was there with, make the names right, Sadie, Shanti, and their youngest son, Harry. So all 3 were at Petco Park being hugged by the players. There was a really, really cool moment when I was talking to her when Luis Arraez just comes up and he hugs her, and then he picks up her youngest son and carries him. It was awesome.
He's the absolute best. I'm going to say one more thing, and then I'm going to get out of your hair so you can play that. Just appreciate you as always, Marty. I know I say it to you a lot, but keep grinding, keep doing your thing. Thank you so much, and happy to be on here anytime you like.
Awesome. I look forward to it. I look forward for a review, and maybe we'll do this next week. I want to hear about Fenway Park.
All right. Sounds great, Marty. Take care, everybody. And thanks for all your listeners too. Hopefully they don't want to riot against me yet.
Okay. That was Jake Gariani from the local CBS Sports. He's been great to deal with. All right, guys. As promised, here's my conversation with Sheel Seidler. Again, another disclaimer. We cannot talk about the litigation. I cannot talk about it with her the one time I saw John Seidler, the previous homestand, cannot talk about the litigation since it's ongoing. So I really can't ask those questions. My point of this was, what was it like for her to be back at Petco Park? Because once the news broke, she wasn't at spring training. She didn't address the team in spring training like she did the previous season after Peter passed. But she was back at Petco Park, which I hope is a good sign for her and for her kids. Here is Sheel Seidler on Marty Time TV. Again, brought to you by the all-new Hamul Casino Resort, the Players Place.
It's really good to be here and see all the players, but not just the players, everybody from Sam in parking, Jim at the gate, Jesse, like everybody. It's good to be here.
So the warm welcome you got from Manny Machado and Tatis, I know those are your kids' favorites. What's it like for your kids to be back here around the players that they love?
It feels good. This is where we have memories of Peter and just pure joy. So I love being able to give them that again.
I had to ask you during last season, during the postseason run, how therapeutic it was for you to be at Petco Park. So if I can go back just to last year to start, what was last year like for you being around here, being around this fan, being part of a playoff chase with your family?
Marty, thank you for asking that because, I'm a very private person, but what happened last year was so profound and moving in that I felt the fans in our grief and holding us, and it made me want to open up and be here more and just be more open. And I'm really glad we did that because there was a huge healing component to that. And so I just want to thank the fans again for holding such an amazing space for our healing and just remembering Peter.
Are we going to see more of you and the family here at Petco Park? I have to ask you about what's going on. I know there's litigation with the family, and that's never an easy thing, but what can you tell us about what's happening right now in your status with this team?
Well, I can't really talk about the lawsuit, but what I can tell you is we are here because we love this team, we love this franchise, and we want to keep this train on the tracks, keep this vision going, and that's why we're here.
Right now that the way things are going is following the vision that Peter would have wanted? Was it hard for you to say?
I do because of the culture in the clubhouse that we're seeing. And sorry, Harry just ran into your microphone. When we play as one, we row as one, and this is the San Diego Padres cultural identity. Yes, what we're seeing is what Peter wanted, and we need to see more of that. We need to make sure we're supporting that vision from the inside out.
What's the reception like from fans? I know that I saw you in the last homestand, I think for the first time since the litigation broke. I know fans were calling out your name, happy to see you. What's been the support like from
I think our fans are amazing. They're very funny and smart and cool and soulful, and being a part of the San Diego community, it's a loving place. So the response is loving, you know. People just want to be like, hey, we love seeing you here, and it's a sincere thing that me and the kids feel. So that's what the response has been.
That there could be resolution sooner rather than later. I can't imagine this is easy for you to deal with. I know being here, when the baseball game starts, it's therapeutic. But having to deal with everything else, I imagine that must be unimaginably difficult. And I don't know what Peter would have thought of any of this.
Well, yeah, Peter would not have expected some things. But Peter's optimism would say yes. You know, it's going to work out, and I do believe that. And we're just here to do what's best for the franchise and this vision we put in motion 13 years ago, which it's Sadie's birthday tomorrow. She's 13, and we had our first birthday here. So, you know, this thing's going, and we just got to keep it going and stay focused, keep it simple, keep it about the values that Peter and I instilled, and it's going to be good. It's going to get resolved, and, you know, we're going to get a World Series.
The baseball gods are going to smile upon the people of San Diego, right?
Hey, kids, one day soon.
I still see you active with the Lucky Duck Foundation, which was something that was so near and dear to Peter. Can you just tell me the things that you are doing as his wife, mother of his kids, to go ahead and continue his wishes, his legacy?
So, one of the things that drew Peter and I to buying a baseball team is what it could do in a community. So the past decade plus has been about refining that, and making sure what we do is impactful. Hola!
How you doing?
¿Cómo estás?
Bien,
¿Cómo
bien.
es tu cabeza?
Way better.
Oh, muy bien, muy bien. You guys say hi to Luis? Hola! Anyways, with Lucky Duck and everything else, it's just an important part of our family. Our family values and the franchise values kind of intersect, and even tonight we're going to Yak to serve. It's a drop-in shelter for homeless youth. Amazing. It's down the street. And it's just a seamless sort of way of keeping Peter and you know, our train on its tracks, right, as a family. And what was important to us, I don't want to stop doing that stuff. It anchors me, and it gives me purpose, and it helps me through my grief.
Glad to hear that. I am glad to hear that. I don't know. It's an impossible task to begin with. Sheel, I know there's a lot you can't talk about with litigation. Is there anything that you want to address that you want fans, media, anyone else to know, since you have my microphone?
Oh, I just want to say thank you for supporting us, and I love how the fans have come out and, you know, love the players, love the franchise. Everyone works so hard here to put this amazing show on the field, and I just want to thank them for keeping it going and keeping the vision going. It means everything to me and the kids.
See more of you at Petco Park?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, my love. I know. We should not pick each other. Thanks, Marty.
So that was Sheel Seidler. It was a good conversation. I imagine that loss must be impossible to deal with, especially when you have 3 young kids. So I'm glad that she was at Petco, and I'm glad that she has the joy of the players. I'm sure that means a lot. All right, guys, thank you so much for your time. It was a longer show. Thanks to Jake Gariani from local CBS Sports. Hopefully tomorrow is a much better day. We're not going to have news at this time on Jackson Merrill or Jake Cronenworth or Luis Arraez at this time tomorrow, but we will have AJ Cassavell talking about the Padres and their depth issues and what's next. So join us tomorrow. We'll be here, I think, at 11 o'clock tomorrow. Thanks for watching Marty Time TV. Have a great Monday, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Thanks, guys.